We're only 1 week into fall camp, and the coaches and the players are already getting heated with each other.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, we're free. I appreciate your support. You can show your appreciation if you are watching on YouTube, and it's important. It means a lot to the show. Become a subscriber. It's easy. It's free. Just click on the red subscribe button. And you really want to make a contribution? Hit that thumbs up button every time you get the chance. And I don't want you to miss one of the episodes Monday through Friday. Hit that bell notification button. We're 1 week closer to the season. And I think players and coaches are starting to feel it. Now, practice so far as when the media has attended, and I believe it's been in the morning every time, but according to the practice schedule, Thursday was the fifth practice of the fall camp. Now, the day before, when we were talking with Lincoln Riley after practice, he mentioned that Wednesday was the fifth day. So there were some questions going on. Trivial, just want to kind of point this out. The sun was out for our first afternoon practice on Thursday. It was a little bit over 80 degrees. It wasn't unbearable, but it was warm. And practice was scheduled to start at 2:25. Not 2 o'clock, not 2:15, not 2:30, 2:25. And we're just wondering, is this just a way of testing the team's discipline? Everybody found out about the schedule change to the practice schedule late in the afternoon on Wednesday. In fact, if I wasn't asked to check my email last night around 5:30, I'm sure I would have seen it beforehand, but I was going to be prepared to show up at campus real early. So in that essence, I was actually glad that the practice got moved back. I enjoy sleeping in. Anyways, whether or not the schedule change affected it, tempers were short. It was a hot day for the players. They were wearing full pads for the first time. And I'll get into tempers being short here very quickly. But first, I want to, I was walking from the car through the parking lot, heading over to the practice area, and I was immediately reminded about Kobe Bryant and his affinity for USC. When I was walking through the parking lot, I saw a car right by the stairs, and it had the license plate that read 824 GG. Yeah, we know those were Kobe's 2 uniform numbers and his daughter Gigi. So I'm not sure how the universe really works, but what was interesting was later the USC basketball sports information director. He saw me standing around taking pictures, waiting for practice to start, and he came over and said, "Hey, Mark, when are you going to head on over to basketball practice?" So I said, "Hey, let me know when the team is going to be back from taking a trip to Greece and Croatia, and I'll be over there to check it out." So for the next week and a half or so, the team will be in Europe doing some scrimmaging. Let's get back to football, though. That's what we're talking about here. This segment, team was back in full pads. And at around 1:40, practice hadn't started yet. I was really hoping that one of those team assistants that was wheeling out the smoothies, those ices, I was hoping they'd say, "Hey, do you want one?" Anyways, Ajani Harris, former Trojan, and Malik Dorton, they were hanging out watching practice. Did you know that Ajani is tied for the most pick sixes in USC history? It's true. And I've mentioned the team was in full pads. I found that out when I saw the first player walking out. Wasn't wasn't anybody you might have heard of before. So I'm going to bring up the name walk-on wide receiver from La Jolla, California, Jaden Moore. He was the first one out wearing cardinal and gold. Coach Nua was the first coach I saw. He was strutting. He was working. During the position groups drill work, like I said, the temperature was up, pads were on, and Coach Nua, he had my attention, especially when he had the guys hitting the sleds. He was at full throat. We go full speed. Something, something, something. And when you hit the sled, break the F word sled. I love Coach Nua's motivational speeches. He knows how to reach his guys. This is why I like going to practice, so I can describe what they're doing, so you can get a feel for it. It's not about whining. We're going to talk about that in the third segment. Got part of my Friday rant. Let's get back to practice, though. Coach Kyle McDonald, he was the next guy out. I think he knew that he was on the interview list with the media because it's always a pleasure to see everyone, was the greeting he gave on his way out. I asked Coach Kyle, after practice about Rayleigh Brown's role as our running back in 2023. He just produced this really big smile and said, we have some plans for Rayleigh, and the rest is up to Lincoln Riley to talk about. So if you want to check out the interview with Coach Kyle McDonald, it's up on YouTube. You can check that out. The Pac-12 officials were there to help out practice. I don't know how much of a help they are, but they were there nonetheless. Once again, Jude Wolfe, he's running across the street in cleats. I wish he'd stop that. It's kind of like, remember when someone would tell you, don't run with scissors in your hands, you'll poke somebody's eye out? That's the rule. Walk across the street, Jude. And then after practice, we had a chance to speak with Lake McCree, and he kind of brought everybody up to speed, about their roles, the tight end group. But I specifically Lake and Jude, because those were the two names that were mentioned most. Mason Murphy, offensive lineman, he's practicing at both tackle spots this season. During the offseason, I guess he had a meeting of the minds, and they talked to Mason and told him, look, this is what you need to do to take the next step. And Mason said that basically he needed to get in the weight room, dedicate himself, to get stronger. And with that strength, he'll be able to use his length a lot better. Mason talked about that when he met with the media after practice, how he's long and getting stronger will be to his betterment. Caleb Williams, he met with the media after practice. He talked about his O-line and what's ahead for him and getting better. He also talked about Anthony Lucas being a very disruptive force on the other side of the ball. Eric Gentry, when he came out to practice, for those of you who might know the name Brian Bosworth, Eric Gentry, all 6'7" of him, he was showing off his six-pack. There's a lot of six-pack to show when you're 6'7". So I was just wondering, hey, if you're going to go there, put on the neck roll. Let's go full Brian Bosworth. Special teams work out there. The jug machine was punting and kicking off to Zach Branch, Dorian Singer, Quentin Joyner, Makai Lemon, Mike Jack III. And one of the drills they do, especially when they're doing the punt receiving portion of it, Coach Luke Heward, he likes to play dodgeball with the receiver. And there's this big, giant, silver, bouncy ball that he will bounce or roll in their direction after they make the reception. And the purpose of the drill is to get the receiver just to make a quick move with their feet to get that first defender to move, to miss, so you can take the next step and start to move upfield. That we actually got to see some 11 on air walkthrough. So we weren't allowed to film it. I'm not going to tell you exactly where everybody was lined up. However, in this first group that I saw, there was Dorian Singer, Mario Williams, Rayleigh Brown, Kyron Hudson. You had Austin Jones at running back. First team O-line, same as I went over yesterday. Jonah Monheim, left tackle. Gino Quinones, left guard. Justin Dedich. Jarrett Kingston, right guard. Michael Tarquin at right tackle. Second unit, just again to remind everybody, the skill positions, you had Mike Jack III, Zach Branch, Brendan Rice, Marshawn Lloyd behind the quarterback, Miller Moss. And then again, left to right, Elijah Page, Emmanuel Pregnon, Killian O'Connor, Andrew Malek, and Mason Murphy at right tackle. The third unit is essentially the freshman O-line that kind of gets rotated in with Cooper Lovelace at right tackle. By the way, Cooper Lovelace, one of the greatest interviews. If you get a chance, check him out. I have to remind everybody, every time I see USC's offensive line this year, so much bigger. You want to see a couple of freshmen? So on your left, that's Amos Talalele, number 75. On your screen on the right, that's Alani Noah, number 77. Those are two freshmen. Let that sink in for a second here. They're big young men. The smallest guys in the room are Justin Dedich, Killian O'Connor, and Gino Quinones. Gino and Justin are starters. Killian right now is running second string center. Again, if you're keeping score, write everything in pencil because we're literally just ending the first week of fall camp. A lot of rotations are going on. During the offensive line drill work, they were doing a lot of run blocking and directing the defender where you want them to go. It was really interesting to watch Josh Henson. He spent a couple minutes just talking, showing, teaching, and then they went into the lab and put everything into motion. After practice, Josh Henson's first words when he was asked how things went, first day in pads, quote, these were his first words. I thought the D-line was more physical than we were, end quote. And then there was a dramatic pause. Go check out the interview. It is a must watch. Coach Henson was not in a good mood after practice. He needs and wants more from his group. And it got to the point where he was so frustrated during the practice on Thursday when the offense and defense were getting at it that he literally called out the freshman Elijah Page, and he made an example out of him in front of his teammates, literally pissed Elijah off to the point where whatever happened, it worked because Coach Henson said that Elijah went out and had the best 2 reps he's had all camp. And that, you know what, Elijah got pissed off at me, but whatever. It had to happen. These are the things that go on in fall camp. And this is why you want me at practice, so you can find out about these things. Because I'm going to bring you these very unique observations that you're not going to get from everybody else. You might get some stats on who caught this and who caught that. I'll give you some of that. I want to give you what's going on behind the scenes so you have an understanding where the team's attitude is, the culture. Pardon me. The rush edgers, they were working on this was really cool to watch. And this is why I kind of wish the fans can get out and watch practice every now and then so you can get a sense of the techniques that they're being taught. The edge rushers today, they were being shown how to dip their shoulders so they can get around that edge quicker, shorten the distance to the ball carrier, the quarterback in the backfield. And every single drill was ended with some sort of simulating a tackle. Everything is simulating wrapping up and tackling. Way off in left field over there on Dato is where everybody's setting up, where the linebackers and the D linemen, they had a crash pad. And one person gets to stand in front of the crash pad, and they're the tackling dummy. The other player, they get to take a 3 to 4 step running head start. And what they're doing is they are wrapping, lifting, and slamming violently into a soft landing But it's all about tackling. It's having a violent point of impact in a small window. And that's where the linebackers and defensive line play. They play in a phone booth. So again, all practice, what we were able to watch during that portion is linebackers, defensive line, rush end, even the secondary. Everybody's working on different types and styles of gap control assignment reads, as well as when you get there, wrap up and tackle. The team was in full pads, keep saying it, so they got some scrimmage work in, and they actually had some crowd noise being pumped in while we were waiting to come back in after practice. It was fun. It's starting to feel like football season again, especially when you start hearing the crowd noise being piped in. You can also tell that it was a really long and physical practice when they finally let the media come back in for the interviews. Practice officially started at 2:25, but the groups are already out there prior to that first whistle sound, that first horn sounding. They're doing other types of walkthrough. And then it ended around 5:15. So again, very long day, warm. They're wearing pads for the first time. So maybe that's why, again, physicality, tempers flaring. This is what you want. And they're going to get right back at it again tomorrow on Friday while you're watching this episode of Locked on USC. But they're going to start 10 minutes earlier. Practice on Friday starts at 2:15. And I will be there to bring you some more notes and observations when you come back for another episode of Locked on USC. But you're not going anywhere yet. Because first, we're going to talk about LinkedIn jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager, especially if you're a small business owner. And you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you find the right people for your team faster, and they're going to do it for free. And as easy as it is to find a job on LinkedIn Jobs, it's also just as easy to create a free job listing. Once you add your job listing, take that purple hashtag hiring frame, put it into your LinkedIn profile, and that's going to spread the word you're hiring too. LinkedIn provides simple tools like screening questions, and that's going to make it really easy for you to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experiences so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview as well as hire. Recruiting the right person for your team means a better product. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. We were going to try and talk about this on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, but I started to really get into the practice report. I even went a little bit long this time, but I had a little bit of self-discipline. Cut it off. I want to talk about some potential trap games in 2023. Does USC have any? I mean, here are the games I think that are up for consideration to classify as a trap game, a look-ahead game. So, ASU, Arizona State. This game comes after USC opens at home with 3 straight games. Remember, San Jose State, Nevada, then Stanford, and then they actually get a bye week before they hit the road and travel to Tempe. So, is that a trap game? I mean, ASU, after spending a month in Los Angeles, I don't think it is. Let me tell you why. For one simple reason. You're hitting the road for the first time. Lincoln Riley is going to have his team very focused. And look, they're not going to be down for losing to a first-year, Generation Z head coach who's in his first season of coaching a big-time program, yeah, I don't think Lincoln Riley's going to let that happen. He knows that it could be a high-scoring affair, but I like I said, hitting the road for the first time, no, it's not going to be a trap game. What about Colorado? This is actually the back end of the back-to-back road games, ASU, and then the following week, USC travels to Boulder, Colorado. Look, I don't know. Maybe Coach Primetime Deion Sanders can psych out USC, talking the week leading up to it, maybe making USC feel overconfident. Maybe USC overlooks the altitude. Doubtful. Why this will not be a trap game? This would, no matter what happens, regardless how many injuries USC experience, this is a bad loss, and knock on wood, no injuries. And it would kill USC even with a strong strength of schedule over its final 6 games of the season. That loss, it would, yeah. Look, we've seen USC lose at home to a 41-point underdog. So can a home game be a trap game? I mean, we know the University of Arizona is going to have a pretty good offense in 2023. And again, this game, even though it's in LA, it is right before USC starts that backstretch of Utah, Notre Dame. Yeah. So could they be looking ahead? I don't think so. Again, trying to put a home game, classify a home game as a trap game. USC is in trouble if they are losing at home to anybody. And I think really the only other candidate on the schedule would probably be the weekender, the game at Cal and Berkeley. I mean, I suppose Justin Wilcox can he can develop and put together a defense, slow USC down. But I have never seen an offense from him. And I know during the offseason he brought in, I believe his name is Jake Sabatol, who runs one of those really high-octane, up-tempo offenses. So we'll see. Maybe he'll put together a game plan that'll catch USC off guard. Kind of like Oregon State did last year when USC traveled to Corvallis. Other than that, there really aren't any other look-ahead games that USC should be concerned with. So you tell me, any trap games? You let me know. And if there are, which ones are they? Hey, for every championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. Guess what? It's the same thing when it comes to your vehicle, because every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head on over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. All you have to do is just add your ride to My Garage, then look for the green check mark. And that way you're going to know the part fits. If it doesn't, you're going to get your money back, guaranteed. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you're shopping on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you're going to be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, and exclusions do apply. All right, we're getting towards the end of the show here. Third segment, it's my Friday rant. Before I get into my rant, and I've been telling you, I've been holding back, gonna wait, give you my 2 cents at the end of the week while we're here. But also, I want to remind everybody, this Tuesday, August 8th, head on over to the Cabrillo Yacht Club, San Pedro. And I want you to join me and the Tuesday Trojan Club, the Trojan Tuesdays Club. Um, it's a really nice networking group of alumni, fans, the Trojan family. They get together, talk about USC, the football team, basketball, whatever they want to talk about. Be some food and beverages. So check it out. You want to be there, RSVP, head on over to Facebook. Again, Trojan Tuesdays. You can find them on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you all out there this Tuesday, August 8th. Now, earlier in the week, I talked about not being able to attend practice or not being able to attend enough practices. USC opened fall camp last Friday. We were there. It was awesome. Well, then the media was excluded for the next 2 practices. Okay. Look, I encourage fans to interact, offer their feedback. However, I also anticipate that my listening and viewer audience, that they use their listening and viewing skills a lot better, or at least some of them. Me complaining, or to use some of your terms, whining about the lack of access to practice, I'm calling complete BS. I went back and I listened to the show. And I spent barely 3 minutes, if that, talking about the issue. And I bring it up because it's my job. This is what I do. You know, the narrative that Lincoln Riley should be able to do whatever he wants because it's his program, he's the head coach, that is very true to a point. Remember whenever we used to say, well, you know, and let me turn that argument around. Clay Helton was the head coach. Should he just be allowed to do whatever he does? No, you wanted accountability. So when the fans are constantly droning on and whining about Alex Grinch and his defense, well, don't you want to know what they're doing during practice? If they're working on tackling, how physical are they? How much time are they spending on special teams? Isn't this kind of stuff you want to know about? How are you going to know about it if the media is not there watching and reporting on it at practice? See how it works? Are you just going to continue to say, well, let's just take the staff's word that they're doing what they need to do? Again, let's apply that same concept to Clay Helton or any head coach. I mean, you sure as hell didn't like the results on defense and special teams in 2022. You guys are always whining about it. You won't let go of it. That was last season. When the media is present at practice, and look, we can tell you what they do and what they're not doing. That's the function of the media. And if you go back and watch that episode, I even said, I understand why Lincoln Riley does it. I also understood, and I remember how Pete Carroll did it differently, and it produced success as well. I'm not asking for full 100% Pete Carroll access. I don't think those days are ever coming back to ever anywhere, just because there's too many people out there trying to create content. And this is one way of, you know, vetting, finding out who should be and who shouldn't be there. If you're a credentialed media, we know the rules. And if we break them, don't let us come back. It's that simple. You know we don't want to lose the trust. But like I said, I think there's a middle ground somewhere between the cone of silence and Pete Carroll way. And I think the middle ground is a little bit more than, hey, you get to watch the way we're conditioning and position group drills and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Give us one day of a scrimmage. Take our phones away. You can even take our notepads away. We'll do everything from mental. We'll do it all through our mental imagery when we come back with our practice reports. And if you want to taper the media off during the season, hey, that's completely understandable. You only get the guys for a short amount of time during the season, and they're going to class. They don't need any distraction. If you want to give us only 1 day a week, 2 days a week, I'm good with that. But especially the first week, maybe even the first 2 weeks of fall camp, open it up a little bit more. So enough of that, okay? I think everybody should have a better understanding of where I'm coming from. It's part of my competitive nature. I like to be able to bring you the best. And I can't do that if I'm not there. So we all have our different roles to play. You get to whine. My role is to provide you with accurate information to whine about. That's how this relationship works, folks. And I really, really, really do appreciate all of my Locked On viewers and listeners. Keep coming back, keep interacting. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't. And if you're not sure, you can ask. All right, that's it. That's my rant. That's this episode of Locked On USC. We're done for the week. Although there is another practice on Friday. I'll have a practice report. I might give you a little bit of a bonus edition of Locked On USC after that practice. We'll see how it goes. So, again, everyone, enjoy the weekend. And just know, this USC football team is getting ready. They're getting heated. And they cannot wait to start the season. I'll see you on the next episode of Locked On USC. Until then, everyone, you know what to do.